Among the warriors of Obagwe village, one man stood above the rest, Obinna, the son of Eze. Obinna was a man of great strength and skills, but more than that, he was known for his unwavering loyalty to his people and his family. From a young age, Obinna had shown promises, and as he grew into manhood, he became the pride of Obagwe village. Every morning, the village would echo with the sound of his spear sliding through the air as he trained in the field. His fellow warriors looked up to him. The village elders often sought counsel from him. But it was not just his skills in the battle that made Obinna beloved, it was his heart. Obinna had married Nneka, the most beautiful woman in Obagwe village. Their union was a thing of envy and admiration. Together, they had built a home filled with love and laughter. Nneka was not just a wife, she was his confidant, his friend, and the keeper of his heart. The villagers would often say that the gods themselves had blessed their union. But as the saying goes, even the strongest tree can be felled down by the most unexpected storm. The rainy season had just begun when the village council called upon Obinna to lead the hunting expedition. The village stores were running low. They needed fresh meat for the coming months. Obinna accepted the task without hesitation, eager to provide for his people. He bid Nneka farewell, promising to return with a bounty that would feed the village for weeks. Nneka smiled and kissed him goodbye, her eyes filled with pride and love. The journey into the dense forest was stressful, but Obinna and the men were skilled hunters. For days, they tracked their prey, moving silently through the underbush. But on the fifth day, something unexpected happened. Obinna fell ill. A sudden fever overtook him, weakening his body and clouding his mind. Fearing that the illness might spread, Obinna's second in command, Chidi, advised him to return to the village while the others continued with the hunt. Reluctantly, Obinna agreed. He was eager to return to Nneka to feel her comforting touch and hear her soothing voice. Obinna and Nneka were looking forward to having their bundle of joy that would be a symbol of their love and also continue in their legacy. As Obinna approached the village, a sense of unease settled over him. The once familiar path felt strange, and the usual sound of the village seemed distant. When he reached his home, he paused, listening. He heard voices, but they were not the cheerful tones he was accustomed to. Quietly, Obinna approached the door and peered inside. What he saw shattered his world. There, in the home he has built with his own hands, was his beloved wife, Nneka, but she was not alone. Another man was with her. Their embrace was one of lovers and not friends. Obinna's heart pounded in his chest, a mixture of shock, anger, betrayal surging through him. He had fought countless battles, faced death many times, but nothing had prepared him for this. His mind raced as he tried to comprehend the scene before him. How could she? How could the woman he loved, the woman he trusted above all others, betray him in such a way? Obinna vision blood filled with tears of rage as he pushed the door open. The wooden frame cracking under the pressure of his hands. Nneka and Ikenna sprang apart, their faces filled with fear and guilt. Obinna, Nneka gasped, her voice trembling. I can explain. But Obinna was beyond words. His hands trembled with fury as he stepped towards them, his towering figure casting a shadow over their fear. Ikenna, normally a brave warrior, cowered before the warrior's wrath. Obinna's heart was of storms of emotion, but in that moment, one feeling overpowered others: betrayal. Without a word, he grabbed Ikenna by the collar and flung him across the room. The man crashed into the wall, groaning in pain, but Obinna did not care. Nneka rushed forward, trying to place herself between the two men. "Please, Obinna, don't do this. It was a mistake, a terrible one." Obinna's eyes, usually warm and kind, were now cold and unforgiving. "A mistake," he spat, his voice low and menacing. "You call this a mistake? You have shamed me, Nneka. You have shamed us both." His words cut deep, and Nneka sobbed, falling to her knees. "Please forgive me. I never meant to hurt you." But Obinna could not listen. The pain was too much. The woman he had loved, the woman he had fought for, had betrayed him in the worst possible way. His walls were crumbling around him. In his heart, something dark began to grow. Obinna left his home that night, unable to bear the sight of Nneka or the sound of her pleas. He wandered the village, his mind a whirlwind of anger and despair. Moonlight cast long shadows on the ground, drawing the darkness that now filled his soul. Obinna found himself by the river, the place where he had first met Nneka. The memories that once brought him joy now brought him pain. Obinna sat by the water's edge, staring at the reflection of the moon, his thoughts consumed by the betrayers. Days turned into weeks, and Obinna's heart grew colder with each passing moment. He refused to speak to Nneka or anyone in the village. The man who had once been the pride of Obagwe was now a shell of his former self. The villagers noticed the change in Obinna. The once jovial warrior now walked with a permanent frown, his eyes filled with bitterness. Children who had once played around him now avoided him. Sensing the darkness that has taken hold of him, Obinna began to isolate himself, spending his days in the forest away from the village. He hunted alone, and when he returned, he spoke to no one. The villagers whispered among themselves, wondering what had happened to the man they once admired. But no one dared to ask Obinna. The aura of anger and resentment surrounded Obinna, kept everyone at bay. As months passed, Obinna's bitterness turned to hatred, not just for Nneka and Ikenna, but for the entire village. He began to see everyone as complicit in his betrayal. Surely someone must have known about the affair. How could they have kept it from him? How could they have let him be made a fool? His heart hardened, and with that his actions became cruel. He would deliberately sabotage the village effort, destroying crops, scaring away games, and even setting traps in the forest that would injure those who stumbled on them. The villagers were terrified, but they still did not know the full story. All they knew was that Obinna had changed, and not for the better. The once peaceful village of Obagwe was now a place of tension and fear. The villagers whispered among themselves.